front page looked real good. Did you get a chance to take a look at the Life and Times front? Franny did a great job of it.
We must give credit to Suzanne and her lovely Barbie photography as well.
Well, yeah, no, that was great.
Fran was very helpful. She wrote
Well,
right
let me
back.
tell you, the way that it broke down, you'll see it, and the layout made it look like it was, weeks in the making. So it was good.
That's good.
It was good. No, it was very good. So that was very, very helpful. We've got some stuff in the can already for this week. We had held that one story for yours that you were working on that we.
Again, we're at Derry News, and we have two of the reporters from Derry News with us today. First is...
I'm Julie Huss.
And...
Suzanne Laurent.
Give us a little bit of a background in how you came about to be a part of Derry News. We'll start off with Julie, if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, this is my almost 13th year here. I began as a lowly little Chester columnist, working from home and raising my kids, and the column kind of graduated into an editorial position here, an editorial assistant position. I started out helping with just, around the office tasks and, office tasks, and it just kind of graduated into a reporter job when an opening came up. It had been a long time since I had been in college, and it was a late in life career finally for me, after being home with my kids for so long. So that kind of just jumped in here and kind of crawled up the ladder.
What stirred your interest?
What's that?
What stirred your interest?
Well, this is what I studied in college. That was a long time ago, English and journalism, and I always thought that I always liked writing, and it just kind of got put on the back burner, like, many mothers in my situation, little kids at home, and I was lucky to be able to stay home for so many years. But when the opportunity came up for the column, I just remembered that this was really something I really loved to do, and it all worked out really well. I was lucky to get my foot in the door that way. And
Suzanne, what's your story?
This is probably a fourth career for me. I
Really?
started out as a nurse. I used to work in Boston for the Head Start program. And then I had moved to Toronto in the 1980s, and I wasn't working, so I took up photography, studied photography there, and came back to Boston, and I worked as a medical photographer, combining both interests. I worked at Beth Israel Hospital for 3 years. And then we moved up to Derry when my son was born. He's now 21. And I needed some freelance work because I was bored out of my mind, staying home. I was used to working. And so I started freelance photography at the Derry News in 1993. I used to fill in for the photographer when he took vacations.
Right.
And they'd call me here and there to take photos. And after about 3 years, people started telling me stories. Everyone has a story. And having had nuns for 12 years, I could write. It was just a bonus for those 12 years. So I little by little, I started writing stories, mostly feature stories.
Yeah.
And some health-related stories, having a health background. So I'd take photos, do stories, and I worked here till 1999, and I left to work at Parkland Medical Center for a couple of years. And I came back here in 2005 when the Eagle Tribune had come up here and they needed more people on staff. And for a while worked for both papers, and now I'm just working for the Derry News.
Well, that's great. Well, that brings up a point that I wanted to ask about. In the past, they used to have it separated. There'd be the reporter, and then they'd have a camera person. Is that still occasionally the case, or is it like 100% you're photojournalists and you do all your stories?
there's still an active, the photo department. There's 4 of them, 4 on the staff here, 3 here. But a lot of us now, like Suzanne is very talented. She takes the majority of her own photos, and a lot of us jump in and try to do that too, only because sometimes it's easier that way, and it's hard to schedule things, and
In the perspective of writing a story out, I would imagine you have to make sure that it's factual.
Mm-hmm.
but make it interesting at the same time. And sometimes it's a balancing act.
It depends, I guess, what kind of, like Suzanne and I will both tell you that we love to write more feature stories, you know, tell stories about people that are doing interesting things or have an interesting, you know, story to tell themselves. But, you know, of course, the first thing you do is when you have a story idea is to get all your facts right, you know, that's the main thing, you know, little things like, you know, making sure everyone's names are spelled right, you know, there's always little things you do first, you know, that you worry about. But, you know, a lot of times, depending on what the story subject is, it'll totally, well, sometimes it like writes itself, you know, you get an idea and you just know it's especially in a feature story, you know it's a good story.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Laurent. I'm a reporter with the Derry News, and I'm here at the Costume Gallery on East Broadway in Derry, talking with Claire Renaud. She's the owner of the Costume Gallery, and they've just put a new awning out front, and you know, she thinks that it's giving a new lift to the downtown, and also having her shop more visible for people looking for it. She gets people coming from all over looking for her shop, and the new awning is much more visible. Is it Ari or
R-E-N.
No,
Oh.
first name. Ari.
Claire, yes, R-E.
Who else is renting here? It's a nail
The barber
place?
shop
It's
and-
what's the name?
American Barber
Okay. American Barber and
Shop.
what else is there?
The natural nail design.
Oh, so it's much more visible than your old
Yeah,
sign.
we used to get people driving up and down the street constantly. They would have specific directions, but still be calling us saying, I'm driving up and down the street, I can't find you. We have
Is
not
this a
had.
half number, this building?
It is,
Yeah.
and we're set back because there used to be
Yeah.
scales out front,
Oh, yeah.
which is why our building is set so far back.